A shy girl's life completely changes when a boy enters her life who helps her in every situation, and slowly they start getting closer to each other. At the beginning of the story, we are shown a boy named Kai who is going to school. His friends come up to him and say good morning. A girl named Ayumi asks him, "Have you got lemon soda again today?" Then we are shown a girl who is our main character, and her name is Yuka. Just then 2 boys approach Kai and say, "Aren't you flying a bit too high these days?" Hearing this, Kai gets angry and throws his lemon soda at them, but they move out of the way and the lemon soda ends up spilling on Yuka. Ayumi goes to her and asks, "Are you okay? Does anyone have a handkerchief?" Yuka says, "For the first time someone talked to me." Ayumi says Kai quickly apologized to her, so Kai says sorry to her. Seeing this, Yuka blushes and runs away. While changing her clothes, Yuka reveals, "In junior high, people used to bully me and they even nicknamed me Stony. I just bother people." But when Kai spilled soda on her, it actually made her happy. She then goes to her class and says, "I had decided that I would live a good and fun school life, but nothing like that has happened yet." Now their teacher arrives and looking at Kai asks, "Why are you wearing a gym uniform?" Yuka is surprised as to why he is wearing a gym uniform. The teacher says, "And Yuka, you too." Kai explains, "Soda spilled on us." Their teacher says, "Be careful." Yuka thinks, but soda didn't spill on Kai. Then on the way home after school, she mentions, "We weren't in the same junior high, but I've known him since before high school." Now she comes home where her dad asks her, "Yuka, tell me, do you want to change your school?" But she says, "No, the school seems fine to me." Coming to her room, she thinks she should make herself look a bit better in class, so she reaches school early. Yuka was loudly practicing saying good morning. But just then Kai arrives. Seeing him, she gets embarrassed. Kai says good morning to her, but Yuka doesn't reply, so he says, "Are you ignoring me? Come on, copy me, say good." So she starts copying him and she says a complete good morning. Yuka couldn't believe her ears that Kai had talked to her. During class, the teacher asks Ayumi a question, but she didn't know how to solve it, so she starts asking everyone for help. Yuka gathers her courage, goes to her and shows her the solution. After reading it, Ayumi praises her and all the kids start clapping for her. Seeing this, Yuka gets happy. After class, Ayumi comes to her, says thank you and introduces herself. "I am Ayumi." Just then Ayumi's friend comes and says, "Let's go have lunch." Ayumi tells Yuka, "You come with us too." She's about to go with them when some kids talking among themselves say, "I can't believe this is Stony. Didn't she go to Shin's high school? Don't tell me she failed." A boy asks, "Why are you calling her Stony?" A girl explains, "In junior high, whenever we bothered her, she wouldn't do anything. That's why we named her Stony." Hearing all this, Yuka runs away from there and Kai sees her leaving. In the library, Yuka was writing in her notebook, "I need to change." Kai comes there and says, "Why do you need to change? You keep writing this all the time. Are you cursing yourself?" Seeing him, she blushes and starts hiding her notebook. Then Kai starts to leave. She apologizes to him. Kai says, "Don't apologize." Hearing this, she is about to apologize again, but she stops and says, "I don't know why I'm like this." Suddenly, she hears someone laughing. She looks outside and sees those same 3 kids throwing her shoes into the trash can. She goes there and takes her shoes out. Then Kai comes and says, "You don't react at all. Go to someone and say, 'Save me.'" Yuka asks, "Who should I go to?" Kai has no answer to this. Yuka says in her mind, "If I had passed the Shin's test, I would have had a peaceful school life too." Saying this, she runs away. We are then shown her past. A teacher says, "Don't worry, your daughter's grades are very good. That's why I think your daughter will pass the Shin's test." But Yuka wanted to go to Hachimitsu High School where she currently is. While walking on the street, she bumps into someone and these are the same kids who start bullying her. There is a boy watching all this. After those people leave, he comes to her. Yuka sees he has a lemon soda in his hand. He picks up the scattered pamphlets, reads them and says, "You will look much better in this than you think." "Well, I'm going to go here anyway." Then his friends call out to him. As he starts to leave, his friends ask, "Kai, was she your friend?" He says no. After he leaves, Yuka says, "A boy I met for the first time and he was very handsome too," and she starts crying. After that, when she goes to take the Shin's test, for some reason her hands freeze and she couldn't write anything. That's why she goes to Hachimitsu High School, where she sees Kai again. Now in the present, she runs and buys a lemon soda from the store. The next day, those people start bullying her again, so she takes the lemon soda out of her bag and throws it at them. Seeing this, the boy gets angry. He pushes her. Just then, Kai arrives with his friends and says, "What are you guys doing?" He comes to Yuka. Seeing him, Yuka remembers the time he said, "Go to someone and say, 'Help me.'" She understands that she was supposed to come to him, but she still couldn't ask for his help. So he says, "Come on, say it." She repeats with him, "Help me," and she starts crying. Kai says, "Very good." He then starts insulting those bullies. "If you guys ever bother her again, you won't be spared." Seeing this, they leave, but they threaten as they go, "You guys won't get away with this." Then Kai says to Yuka, "Stand up, stop sitting on the ground and crying. You will just get in the way, especially on the sidewalk." Then she remembers when Kai told her, "You will look very good in this." And after that, when he was leaving, he saw her crying. So Yuka realizes that he remembers everything and she says, "I'm sorry." Kai says, "You started apologizing again, didn't I tell you not to?" But he sees that she is very happy this time. The next day, some girls are walking by, talking about how they like Kai. Yuka hears them from behind and then starts walking to her class. On the way she spots Kai, so she says good morning to him but very softly and starts walking away. Kai says, I couldn't hear you say it so quietly. Then she says good morning loudly. Oh man, now you've started shouting. Ayumi also says good morning to her, but Yuka runs away. In PE class, Yuka was standing in one place. The others start talking among themselves. She's become like a stone. Yuka remembers when she used to stand like this in her previous school, kids used to get angry at her. Then Kai calls Ayumi over and whispers something in her ear. She says, but Kai says, just do it. Ayumi was playing basketball. She throws the ball towards Yuka and says, you can do it. All the kids go to take the ball from her. But dodging everyone, she throws the ball into the basket. Seeing this, everyone is amazed and starts praising her. Ayumi tells her that Kai told her to do this. Just then, Kai goes outside and sees Yuka's dad talking to the teacher. He says, I leave my daughter's responsibility to you. Now in the classroom after class, Ayumi and Satoru come to her and ask, by the way, why did you come to this school? Yuka explains, I saw the kids here having a lot of fun, so I thought it would be very fun here. Tomoya comes and says, yes, if you want to have fun, this school is the best. So tell me, what do you want to do? Yuka says, I want to walk home slowly from school until the moon comes out. Ayumi asks, and by chance, do you want to go home at night? She says yes. Just then, Kai says, do you think you are made for all this? You should give up. His friends start saying, Kai, why are you saying that? Kai starts leaving. They follow him too. Ayumi says, don't you think you shouldn't have said that to her? But he says nothing. On the other hand, Yuka says, Kai is right. It's not like all my wishes can be fulfilled. Then she hears a noise and goes outside to see kids heading in that direction. Kai and the others reach a place where those same three bullies are sitting, hearing someone to teach Kai a lesson. But Kai comes there and sees them. He says, these guys have become a headache for me. He finds out they have involved Yuka in this too, so he quickly heads towards Yuka. Just then, two guys come taking Yuka's name. Hearing their voices, Yuka hides. But they find her and one guy takes her away, saying, I'm sorry baby, but this is my girlfriend's order. Yuka stops and says, Kai. Just then, someone comes and pushes him. He picks up a desk, throws it next to them and says, how dare you two touch Yuka? Then that girl arrives and the two guys crawl to her saying, you didn't tell us he was this strong. Just then a teacher spots them, so all three of them run away. As Kai leaves, he says, I'm sure if your dad saw this, he would faint. Yuka thinks, my dad was here. Kai says, go straight home. He adds, I will reap what I sow. All your dreams are quite simple. That's why I will fulfill all those dreams without any problem. So when all this is over, run back to your dad. But she says nothing. Kai turns around again and says, go home for now. Yuka says, yes sir. After he leaves, she says to herself, he was worrying about me and he was scolding me too. I never thought much about my dreams because just thinking about them is very hard, but I want to see those dreams come true. Why is Kai helping me? What is this feeling? Have I fallen in love with Kai? As she was walking home thinking about something, she bumps into a tree. Next day while the teacher was teaching in class, Kai was sleeping. The teacher wakes him up and starts scolding him. After class, Satoru comes to Ayumi and notices she is wearing earrings. Satoru calls her cute, making Ayumi blush. Yuka thinks, does Ayumi like Satoru? Looks like they are dating. She looks at Kai and he looks at her. Yuka thinks, Kai looks at me like I'm clueless. It's true because I have bothered those people a lot. She gets up and leaves. Kai asks, where did Yuka go? On the way, kids from her school see her and tease her saying, this is Stony. After they leave, Tomoya comes and says, hey, why did you leave so early? Then Kai angrily says, why were you in such a hurry to leave from there? Yuka asks, but what is this anger for? Tomoya explains, Kai said he was going to hang out with you. Kai says, I told you yesterday that I will make your dreams come true. Yuka says, I thought you were joking. Kai says, you thought it was a joke, you really are stupid. Come on, follow me. Hearing this, she gets very happy and starts following him but remembers something and stops. Kai asks, what happened to you? She says something very softly, so he says, speak properly, I couldn't hear you. Tomoya says, calm down, Yuka, tell me by when do you have to reach home? Yuka says, by 5:00 p.m. Kai looks at the time on his watch, gets angry and says, how is this possible? We will do it some other day, and starts to leave. Yuka apologizes to him. Kai says, didn't I tell you not to apologize? She starts apologizing again. Kai turns back and yells, then she hurriedly says, Gabu. Kai says, do you want to fight? Yuka says no. Kai says, then what does Gabu mean? Yuka says, I don't know. Tomoya laughs and says, sorry, but I really can't tell if you two are good friends or not. Don't worry, Yuka, it's quite rare for Kai to pay so much attention to a girl. Kai says, don't talk nonsense. Hearing this, Yuka is left surprised. After that, Tomoya says, we are going to karaoke. Ayumi and Satoru must be waiting for us. Kai asks, Yuka, which side do you live on? She says, I live across that bridge. Kai says, come on, I'll walk you there. On the way, Yuka says thank you to him, but she feels she said it too softly, so she says thank you again. Kai says, once was enough. Yuka says, I felt like no matter how many times I say it, it will be less. Kai asks, what do you think of yourself? Yuka says, I still consider myself like a stone. Kai says, how long will you stay stuck? I feel like you hide a lot of things. She asks, what did I hide? Kai says, like you are so good at sports. Yuka says, that happened by mistake. Kai says, if you try, you can be good at everything. You might be a stone, but you are at the top of all stones. You are a gemstone, so be selfish and move forward. Tell yourself that you can do this. And he pushes her forward. Hearing all this, Yuka says in her mind, the nickname that was once a burden for me has turned into a treasure. She tells him, I have many dreams, but it might take a lot of time to fulfill them. But truly, I will never put you in trouble. Kai says, anyone watching would say I am bullying you, which is why you are crying. And he puts his cap on her head. She's about to say sorry, but Kai interrupts and says Gabu, laughing and asking, what does Gabu mean? Alright, bye, you should go now. Yuka says, okay, see you tomorrow. After he leaves, she runs away saying to herself, I like Kai, but I am not the kind of girl who deserves his love, but now I can't back down. The next day, their teacher comes to class and says, alright, it's time to change the seating arrangement. Hearing this, Yuka starts to panic that she will have to change her seat. I still haven't told Ayumi many things. But then Ayumi goes to her and says, Yuka, become my friend. Yuka says, weren't we friends already? Looks like I have to say it loudly. Ayumi holds her hand and says, Yuka, we both are friends. Okay, Yuka, now we have become friends. Then a boy comes and says, alright ladies, stop the lovey-dovey talks now and pick your chits. Ayumi picks her chit but sees she is seated very far from Satoru. Seeing this, she gets very sad. Then Yuka picks her chit, which is number 15. So she tells Ayumi, you exchange your chit with me. I got number 15, which is right next to number 6. Hearing this, Ayumi gets happy that she will now be able to sit next to Satoru. But she asks her, does everyone know that I like Satoru? Yuka says, I thought you two were dating each other. Ayumi says, no, he doesn't like me, so let it be, we aren't doing this. Yuka says, I want to sit in front of the teacher, so please exchange your seat with me. Ayumi agrees and thanks her. Then Tomoya comes and says, Yuka, you are right next to me, looks like it will be fun this time. Then Yuka sees Kai is also sitting next to her. Yuka says, I didn't think this would happen. My new world is brighter than I thought, and she starts laughing. Kai says, you can stop laughing now. Next day, Yuka says good morning to Ayumi and walks away. Seeing this, Ayumi starts laughing because she just came there to say good morning. The teacher was telling them about the trip, but Yuka was overthinking too much. The teacher asks her, Yuka, would you like to exchange your seat with anyone? She says, no, I am fine here. Kai also says, you don't need to change. Seeing this, a guy says, Kai, are you two dating each other? He says, no, she just can't make friends, so I am helping her. The guy says, oh, I know man, I was just trying to make a joke. Kai says, your joke wasn't funny at all. After that, another teacher comes to give them a test. When he gives the test paper to Yuka, Kai tells the teacher, sir, the test paper you gave Yuka is torn, please change it. Seeing this, the teacher says, I'm sorry, I'll give another one. In the next class, Kai falls asleep again. The teacher throws a duster at him, but he catches it. Seeing this, everyone starts clapping. Yuka also starts clapping. The teacher says, Yuka, now you've started clapping too, so she stops. Some kids start saying, looks like Yuka also likes kids like us. Kai stands up and says, you guys are misunderstanding. She is actually a very good person, you just have to understand her. Then some kids say, so we would like to be her friends, and they say hi to her. She says hi back and bows. Seeing this, everyone starts laughing. Kai asks, why are you bowing? Yuka says, then tell me, what should I do right now? Kai says, say hiya. So she says hiya, and everyone starts saying hiya together. Kai starts laughing even more. Tomoya says, now stop bothering her. Then Kai explains to her that she has to adjust her speed and walk with the class in this way. After class, Kai leaves, so people start looking for him. They say, he just disappears anywhere like this and can't be found. Hearing this, Yuka also starts looking for him here and there. She comes to a place where she sees lemon soda kept. It's the storeroom, so she goes inside where she finds Kai. But seeing him sleeping like that, she thinks Kai is dead. Then Kai wakes up and says, you scared me. Yuka says, no, you scared me. Just then they hear the voices of some kids who were looking for Kai. Kai says, Yuka, hurry up and close the door. After locking the door, she asks Kai, by the way, why do you always disappear? Kai explains, not always. When I feel sleepy, I come here, and this is the first time I have been found. Yuka says, maybe I ruined your sleep, so I am leaving. Kai says, did you want something from me? She says, I was looking for you so I could return this hat to you. But when Kai takes the hat, a very nice fragrance comes from it. He asks, did you wash it? Yuka says, did I make a mistake by washing it? Kai says, there was no need for this. Yuka says, I noticed you always wear the same hat, so I thought it must be very precious to you. Kai says, alright, I'm going to sleep, wake me up later. Yuka says, okay, and sits next to him. Kai explains, when I wake up from sleep, my hair gets messy, that's why I started wearing a cap, and saying this, he starts blushing. Seeing this, Yuka says, Kai is blushing over such a thing, and she starts laughing. He says, hey, this is nothing to laugh about. A little later, they come back. His friends say, will you tell us where you were? Kai says, being around people for 24 hours is exhausting. Hearing this, Yuka says, no, what is this? I was with him the whole time. Then a girl asks Yuka, do you know where Kai was? But Kai takes her with him and gestures for her not to say anything. Seeing this, Yuka starts blushing. The day of the school trip arrives, where people were surprised to see Yuka in mountain climbing clothes. She looks at Kai, but Kai turns his face the other way. She says, maybe I really look weird in these clothes, that's why I should leave from here. Tomoya says, she looks very good in those clothes, you shouldn't make fun of her. Kai says, I'm not making fun of her, I feel like she must have thought a lot about everything. After this, they start moving forward. Yuka was looking at the map and some kids play a prank on her. Seeing this, she remembers her old times when she went on a school trip but people were completely ignoring her. Realizing the difference, she gets happy that this school is very good. Just then a girl was running around with Kai's cap. A girl was passing by Kai and was about to fall, so Kai saves her. She says, "Thank you," but Kai calls her an idiot and walks away. That girl gets angry hearing this. Another girl says many girls are head over heels in love with Kai in this school. Then we see the girl holding Kai's cap saying, "Hey Kai, why aren't you coming here to get your cap?" Another boy says, "You can probably keep it because Kai has been wearing it since before junior high." Hearing this, Yuka says, "That's the same thing." Just then, Kai tells her to stay quiet and says, "Please don't tell this to anyone. You are the only one who knows this secret," and he starts leaving. That girl says, "What was that?" Yuka says, "He told me so easily that I thought it was just a normal thing." Now they arrive at the camping spot where they were having lunch. Ayumi says, "Yuka, you come join us too." But she sees that Yuka is sitting next to a tree having her lunch. Ayumi then shows her lunch. Seeing it, Yuka says, "Cute people's lunches are also cute." Kai also arrives there. Just then two boys come and say they are looking for the good luck tree. The other boy says, "They say if you find that tree, you can stay with your love for the rest of your life." Satoru says, "By the way, Kai, you also used to date a girl some time ago, right?" Hearing this, the boys ask, "Is this true, Kai?" Kai says, "Satoru, you?" Yuka says, "Yes, it's possible because he is Kai. He must have definitely dated someone, which means the secret I know isn't that big of a deal." After that, they were heading back, but Yuka notices the path to the school from there is very weird. The same girl says, "Yuka, looks like we will be late, so we should hurry." So Yuka also takes everyone and starts heading that way, but they walk for a long time and probably took the wrong path, and suddenly it starts raining. All the kids start scattering. Kai says, "Don't look." Yuka says, "Maybe we are lost." Hearing this, all the kids get shocked. The girl who took Kai's hat says, "If Yuka was looking at the map the whole time, how did we get lost?" Hearing this, the other kids start saying, "Yes, that's true. Yuka, when you were looking at the map the whole time, how did we get lost?" Ayumi says, "It's not Yuka's fault." A girl says, "We were following the signs, so maybe someone tampered with the signs." Yuka says, "I will go find the way right now." Kai also follows her. While looking for the path, Yuka says, "I am of no use." She is about to slip and fall, but Kai comes and catches her. Yuka says, "What should I do now? I wish I had improved my life a little bit. I am really useless." Kai hugs her and says, "Calm down." Then she pushes him away. Yuka pushed him because she saw something. Looking at the map, she says, "This bridge is on the map." Kai tells her, "Don't move from here, I'll be right back," and he leaves. A little while later, he brings everyone there. Then those girls come there and say, "Yuka, please forgive us, we blamed you at that time." Suddenly, a girl sneezes. Seeing this, Yuka offers her a towel. All the kids look at Yuka and say, "Does she have things for us too?" She had brought such a big bag, and Yuka was taking things out of her bag and distributing them among the kids. After handing them out, when she sits down, Kai comes to her, hands her a lemon soda and says, "I'm sure you didn't save anything to drink for yourself. I have drank a little bit from this, but you can drink it." Yuka says, "If you drank from this, I can't drink it." Kai says, "This is no time to throw tantrums, drink it quickly." Yuka says, "But this is good for me. Oh man, what am I even saying? This is all Kai's fault. Because of him, my brain has stopped working." Kai laughs and says, "I understand you are tired, that's why your brain is messed up." Seeing his smiling face, Yuka says in her mind, "I never thought I would fall in love." Then a boy says, "Look what Yuka found. This is the place where a heart can be seen in the sky," and all the kids start looking at it. When they are returning from the trip, Kai comes to Yuka, rests his head on her shoulder and says, "Pillow." Hearing this, she blushes and says in her mind, "They say when love is incomplete, there is a feeling of sadness, but I haven't felt that yet, but it is bound to happen." When she's going to school from her home the next day, her dad asks her, "So how was your trip?" Yuka tells him, "My trip was very good." After that, she quickly heads to school. When she arrives at school and looks at her desk, she sees some things kept there. She thinks maybe someone made her desk dirty. But when she approaches her desk, the kids come to her and say, "We thought we should thank you. You helped us a lot yesterday. That's why we brought all this for you. Do you have any problem with this?" Yuka says, "No, I am very happy to see this." Then Kai arrives, looks at Yuka and says, "Don't look at me like that. I didn't bring anything for you." Yuka says, "I don't want anything." Kai is surprised to hear this. Then some girls start calling Yuka. Yuka goes to them. A girl says, "Yuka, the picture of what you found yesterday got me 300 likes. Another girl shows a picture of a guy and says, "Can you tell who this is?" The girls start saying, "He is quite hot." "Tell us who this is." The girl says, "You know him, this is Kai." Hearing this, Yuka and those two girls get shocked. The girls ask, "Is this in your yearbook?" A yearbook holds school memories, and they plan to show each other their yearbooks. They tell Yuka, "You also bring your yearbook." But hearing this, Yuka starts remembering her past, that not much good had happened in her previous time. The girls say, "If you don't want to bring it, it's fine." Yuka smiles and says, "I will bring my yearbook." At school, they all bring their yearbooks. A boy looks at a girl's photo and says, "This girl is very cute." The girl explains, "Her name is Serena. She's like a celebrity in school, and oh, I remember this girl was also in Kai's class." Hearing this, Yuka starts overthinking. She thinks to herself, I was a fool to bring my yearbook. I thought if I brought this, I would become part of this group, and she starts walking away. Kai sees her leaving. She reaches the roof and says, I don't want to show my past to anyone. Kai comes there, takes her yearbook from her, looks at her photo and says, you look completely normal in this photo. Seeing you run away, I thought your photo must not have come out well. Yuka says, that's not the case. All my memories aren't good, that's why I want to forget them. Kai asks, but why? Yuka says, what do you mean? Kai says, don't even try to forget it. Whoever you are right now is because of junior high. And yesterday in class, you must have seen what level you are at now. Yuka remembers that all the kids brought presents for her. Kai asks, can I show this photo to everyone? It's just like a guardian spirit. Yuka says, no, I will show them myself. So he gives her book back to her, gives her a candy along with it and says, this is for tomorrow. Yuka tells him, but I didn't give you anything. Kai says, this is your reward for your hard work. When Yuka was heading back towards the class, Tomoya brings a girl there. This was the same girl who had turned the signboard the other way during the trip. She apologizes to Yuka. Tomoya explains, this is the girl who turned the signboard around during the trip. Yuka asks her, but why did you do that? She tells her, I did it because I got angry that Kai was paying more attention to you. But I am tired of doing this now, so I won't do it anymore, and she leaves. Yuka tells Tomoya she is wrong about me and Kai being close. Tomoya says, no, she is not wrong. I told you that it's quite rare to see Kai paying attention to a girl. You both know you aren't close, but from the outside it looks like you two are very close. That's why all the girls are upset with you. Yuka understands. Tomoya tells her, Yuka, if you hadn't met Kai, you would have been much happier. You got out of the troubles you were stuck in, but to get out of them you had to face even more problems. So I think you shouldn't be with Kai anymore. Should Kai really be by your side? But she walks away without saying anything. When she enters the class, she hears some boys asking Kai, is it true that Serena is your ex-girlfriend? Kai says, keep your mouth shut. Her heart breaks knowing this, and she says, I thought if I stayed with him, I would slowly get closer to him, but the more I try, I realize how far away I am from him. The next day, Yuka gets a fever at home. Her mom tells her, stay home today, but don't overdo things after going to school tomorrow, otherwise your health will get worse. Then her friends call, so her mom brings her the phone. On the other end, Kai, Ayumi, and the others were saying, we are coming to meet you. Hearing this, the phone drops from her hands. She picks it up and starts talking. While talking, Kai reaches her balcony. They say hello to her and then leave. When she goes to school the next day, the teacher comes and says, all the trip photos have arrived. All the kids start looking at the photos. They see that wherever Kai is with Yuka, he is smiling. Ayumi comes to her and says, Yuka, Kai always smiles looking at you. Yuka gets surprised. Ayumi says, did you not know? I get it. You are feeling something for someone. I will help you as much as I can. I might be a little wrong. But Yuka says, thank you very much, and says in her mind, I have amazing friends and my love. On the other hand, Satoru brings a photo to Kai. Looking at the photo, he says, Yuka's smile is melting. Walking away, he adds, when she smiles, she looks very cute. Satoru is shocked to hear this because it's the first time Kai has praised a girl. Yuka is shown running, saying, no matter how far away I get from him, I will hold on to him because I want to be with him. As she runs to the stairs, someone's phone is falling and she catches it. She sees inside it is Kai's old photo. A girl comes there and says, I'm sorry, I hope you didn't get hurt. Yuka says, no, I didn't get hurt. Then the girl's face is shown and it is Serena. When Yuka comes to school the next day, she sees Serena looking very beautiful. Ayumi tells Yuka, in the third year of junior high, Kai and Serena were dating, but for some reason, they broke up. Yuka thinks to herself, why did an amazing girl like her break up with Kai? In the classroom, their teacher announces, the culture festival is starting in 2 weeks. Hearing this, all the kids get excited, but the teacher adds, but remember your midterms are in 3 days. Hearing this, everyone gets sad and says, our happiness was so short-lived. The teacher says, I mean, if you study well for the test, you'll be able to enjoy the festival properly. Ayumi says, these tests are awful. Satoru says, hey, I enjoy taking tests. Yuka goes to Ayumi and asks, can we study together? If you want to. Satoru says, oh, group study, let's go for dinner then. Ayumi agrees and she runs, taking both of them. At the restaurant, they place their orders and Kai is also there. Ayumi says, we'll go get drinks. Yuka starts to go with them, but Ayumi tells her, you two stay right here. Yuka starts thinking about how to begin the conversation, but she couldn't decide what to say to Kai. Just then, Serena arrives with her friends. One of her arrogant friends points to Kai and says, isn't that Serena's ex? And she starts asking Kai about her. Kai ignores them. Ayumi returns and says, I think you guys want to sit here, so we will change our seats. They reply, we will change our seats too. Ayumi tells Satoru, if we keep changing places, Yuka won't have any time left. Serena's friends ask, by the way, what time do you have to go home? Yuka says, I have to go at 5:00. Hearing this, they start laughing and call Yuka a little kid. Serena tells them to stop, but they don't listen. Kai gets angry and stands up. But just then, Serena takes a glass from Ayumi and throws juice on them. They get angry with Serena and leave. Ayumi says, that was fun. Serena says, to hell with them too, they made me angry. She apologizes to Yuka and leaves. The next day, Serena's friend pours water on her and laughs, saying, "This is revenge for what you did to us." Serena says, "I am breaking my friendship with you guys now. I know why you guys became friends with me, because boys like me. You befriended me so you could take advantage of me." Hearing this, the girl gets furious and is about to slap her, but Yuka steps in front and the slap lands on Yuka. Serena asks her, "Yuka, are you okay?" Yuka says, "I am used to this." Look, this was not Serena's fault at all. She was just taking my side, and if you think I am wrong, say it without hesitating. Listening to her words, they start backing off. Kai arrives and says, "Looks like you made a huge mistake messing with Yuka. You don't know who she is." Just then, some guys step up behind those girls and say, "Let's find out whose fault it was," and they take all three of them into a corner. Kai takes off his jacket, puts it on Serena, and says, "I told you whenever you need me, just call me," and he starts leaving. Serena follows him saying, "I didn't need your help." Tomoya comes and asks Yuka, "Yuka, does your face hurt?" She says no, but seeing Kai and Serena together makes her feel very bad. The next day, Yuka and her friends are told to stand at the entrance and say good morning to everyone. Kai arrives, so their teacher gives Kai a band too. Kai takes it and wears it. His friends start saying, "You look weird in this." Kai says no one will look weird, but he notices Yuka's just staring at him. Yuka sees the same three girls trying to talk to Serena again. Those three girls see Yuka, apologize to her, and slip away. After they leave, Serena says, "I am glad they apologized to you. Forgive me for bothering you." Yuka says it's okay. In the classroom, Yuru says, "Yuka, I've been thinking for a long time if you tie your hair up, you would look very nice." She puts her hair up and Yuka really looked quite nice. Seeing her, Kai says, "Your friend group is growing. Looks like you are doing quite well without me." Yuka feels Kai is trying to say, "Stay away from me." After that, the teacher comes and starts teaching, telling them to prepare well for the exams. A boy says, "Teacher, I didn't make notes." The teacher scolds him. He says, "Sir, take a breath first." Watching this, Yuka goes to give them her notes after class, but the boy says, "I was just trying to vibe. I don't need this. Thank you very much." Two girls come and say, "Yuka doesn't know what vibe means, so just talk normally to her," and they leave. Yuka says, "That was a huge failure for me," and starts reading about vibes. Later, she goes for a walk on the school grounds and sees Kai talking to his friends about Serena. They are asking if Kai really loves her. Kai says, "You don't need to talk about all this." Hearing Kai's words, Yuka thinks to herself, Kai's words mean there might be something between Serena and Kai that only they know, and maybe I will never get to know it. Then Kai comes, grabs her, and says, "I am feeling sleepy." He goes back to the storeroom and asks Yuka, "Yesterday when she slapped you, you said you were fine but you were used to it. Is that true?" Yuka says, "No, that's not the case." Kai touches her cheek and says, "Your face is a bit swollen, it must definitely be hurting." Yuka starts blushing. Seeing this, Kai laughs and says, "Your face has turned red. Anyway, wake me up when it's time," and he instantly falls asleep. Holding her cheek, Yuka says, his hand felt very nice. As Yuka leaves, she says, "I will come back and wake you up." Serena approaches Yuka and says, "I know where you are coming from. You are coming from the storage room, right?" Yuka says, "That's amazing. How did you know?" She thinks to herself, yeah, she is Kai's closest, so it's obvious she would know. They talk about many things. Serena's friends come over and ask Serena, "Whose photo is this? This looks like Kai." Serena says, "Why did you take my phone without asking?" Kai arrives there. The guy shows Kai the photo and says, "Look, Serena still keeps your photo." The girl there says, "I have this photo too." Serena returns his hoodie. The guy asks Yuka, "By the way, Yuka, whose photo do you like to keep?" Kai says, "She is different from all of you," and he starts praising her a lot. They are shocked to hear this. As they are leaving, Kai tells Yuru, "Tie her hair like this again sometime." She asks, "Did you like it?" But he doesn't answer and says as he leaves, "Yeah, I am getting sleepier." Hearing his words, Yuka sits right there and thinks to herself, "Whenever I try to distance myself from him, he brings me closer. Kai, I love you so much." In the classroom, their teacher announces, "The culture festival is just around the corner. Who will start working on it?" Yuka raises her hand. Everyone starts asking, "Will you really be able to do it?" Kai says, "Yes, Yuka, you can do this." She gets happy hearing this. The next day, she tells her mom and dad about the festival. Her parents appreciate it too. Then she's heading to school carrying supplies when she loses her balance and starts sliding down a slope. But Kai comes in front of her, stops her, and asks, "What are you doing here alone?" Yuka says, "Well, I decided I should do this work." At school, some kids are shown saying, "We shouldn't have said no to Yuka, but a cafe will be a bit too much." Still, they regret rejecting Yuka. On the other hand, Kai understands that everyone refused to help Yuka. Kai says, "You don't need to do it alone either." They talk and Kai leaves. Next day, when she's carrying stuff again, she loses her balance and falls. The girls who were regretting their decision arrive to help her as they were very worried about Yuka. Seeing this, Yuka makes a weird face. They start laughing at her face because Yuka was actually very happy seeing them. Remembering Kai's words, she says, "Thank you, Kai." She reaches school, assigns everyone their tasks, and while doing so, an aura like a Super Saiyan emanates from her. Together, they plan how to set up the cafe. Gradually, they start gathering the things needed to prepare it. While working, Ayumi was hiding from Satoru. Satoru finds her and asks, "Ayumi, what are you doing here? I was looking everywhere for you." Ayumi snaps at him. I am running away from you because you never stop talking about mock exams, and she runs away. Satoru chases after her. Yuka goes outside and sees some kids making videos for a short show to screen for the audience at the upcoming festival. Yuka leaves from there while Kai watches her. Then it's Kai's turn, but we aren't shown what Kai says in the video. Yuka thinks to herself, I wanted to see what Kai would say, but right now the festival is more important. By evening they were decorating the classroom like a cafe. Days pass like this, and the day of the festival arrives with many people visiting the school. In the cafe, all the girls are amazed by Yuka's decorations. Their cafe becomes a huge hit and Yuka is working non-stop. A girl comes, takes her, and says, Yuka, come with me quickly. We are short one maid, and she makes her wear a maid outfit. After wearing it, Yuka says, I am feeling very shy, but since I am wearing it now I should start working, and she quickly starts taking everyone's orders. She gets very tired doing this. The girl says, sorry, we made you work too much, so you can go for a walk for a bit. When she steps outside, she hears people saying Crazy Cool is about to start. Yuka goes there and sees many handsome boys performing in the show. Then Kai's video plays in which Kai says, leave Yuka to me. Hearing this, Yuka blushes profusely and leaves. On the way, many girls surround her and ask, are you Yuka? Yuka says yes. They judge her, saying she must definitely be his friend. She doesn't look like his girlfriend from any angle. I've heard Kai just protects her. He has no relation with her. After hearing this, Yuka goes and sits in the storeroom. Kai arrives and says, I finally found you. What are you doing in this outfit? Kai sits there too. Yuka says, I saw your show. Why did you say leave Yuka to me in that crazy cool show? Kai says, yeah, after saying that, I'm now called your caretaker. Yuka tells him, Kai, whenever I get a chance, I will talk to you, and thank you so much for everything before. Suddenly, a voice from outside says, I don't know where Kai went. By the way, I heard he is dating someone. Another girl says, no, he just takes care of her. Kai takes Yuka and steps outside. Seeing them, the girls are shocked. Kai lets her go. Tomoya comes and asks, once Yuka becomes completely dependent on you, will you leave her or will you protect her forever? Kai doesn't give a proper answer. Yuka thinks to herself, Kai held my hand, but she remembers the words of those girls too. We are shown a girls' show where they are performing, and Satoru is going crazy looking at Ayumi, pushing away so many guys all by himself. Then Serena is shown telling a guy, who did you ask before putting my name in this show? The guy says, if you don't want to perform, bring me a girl who is at your level. Yuka steps in and says, I will go in it. Serena asks, Yuka, will you really be able to perform? Yuka says yes. Round 2 starts and Yuka is sitting there. The host of the show comes to Yuka and asks, would you please bother to tell us your name? When Yuka stands up, he recognizes her and says, oh, it's the famous Yuka, right? He asks her so many questions that Yuka gets distressed and doesn't know what to answer. Then Kai makes a hero's entry, grabs the host and says, Yuka, you always have some kind of trouble with you. Everyone is shocked. Yuka thinks to herself, Kai, I could have handled it without you, but I want to get as close to you as possible, and she starts crying. Kai says, all right, I will watch you do this. Tomoya and Kai are shown again. Tomoya says, I am sure you said you were not romantically interested in Yuka. Kai says, I take back what I said, and he walks away. The school festival ends. They plan to go to karaoke, but they remember Yuka can only stay until 5:00. Yuka says, you guys have fun, and starts to leave. Kai comes to her and says, it's very noisy there, so I will walk a little further with you. Yuka says, thank you. Kai asks, we have some time right now. Would you like to go to the game arcade? She says, yes, I have only seen people going there, but I have never been there. Kai laughs and says, I never get annoyed by you. Yuka blushes hearing this. The next day, some kids are talking about Serena, saying she is dating Kai. Serena overhears and says, you guys are wrong, Kai and I are not dating. The kids run away. Some girls come and take Serena with them, saying, Serena, Ajuni called you cute. She's dating Asuka. They will break up because of you. So what can you do about it? Serena says, but what does this have to do with me? The girl gets angry and is about to hit her, but all of Serena's friends arrive. The girl says, today your friends saved you, and passing by Kai, she adds, if those two break up, I won't spare you, and leaves. Kai starts following her, but Serena stops him and says, I am fine. Kai says, I know you are not fine, and starts leaving. Serena's friend says, I will call the teacher. Ayumi and Yuka approach her and ask, are you okay? She says yes. She explains why this is happening. When she was in junior high, these girls were bothering another girl for a similar reason. Serena stepped in to defend her. Because of that, the girls started bullying Serena too. No one supported her, but there was one boy who supported her, and that was Kai. Getting his support made Serena very happy, and slowly she started depending on him. Neither of them knew when this friendship turned into love, and they started dating. But one day when Kai was late to school, Serena panicked a lot. When she ran to the gate, she saw Kai had arrived. He said, I'm sorry, I overslept a bit. But Serena started crying. She realized, I can't live without Kai at all now, which made me weak. But now I have completely changed. Do you guys know? Ayumi asks, by the way, why did you two break up? Serena says, because. We are shown what Serena told him. I need you, but it seems you don't need me. After sharing this, she tearfully tells Yuka, sorry Yuka, now maybe you hate me. Yuka denies it, saying nothing like that. She asks Serena, Serena, do you love Kai? Serena lies, no, I don't love him. Yuka says, "You are a terrible liar." Serena asks Yuka, "Do you love him?" Yuka also lies, "I don't love him." The teacher arrives and asks Serena if she is okay, and she says yes. Yuka goes to her class where the teacher announces, "Your summer vacations are starting now." All the kids get happy. A boy says, "Kai, you won't be looking after Yuka now, right? Don't tell me you will look after her during vacations too." The boys discuss among themselves if that's possible. As Yuka leaves, she tells Kai, "All right, we will meet again," and she goes away. The next day, some kids are going to a festival. Yuka sees them and thinks Kai and Serena will also go to the festival together now. Her doorbell rings, so she goes downstairs. She sees Ayumi is there to take her to the festival. Yuka goes with her. We are shown Kai has also come, probably to invite her to the festival. When she reaches the festival, she asks Ayumi, "By the way, Satoru didn't come with you." She replies, "I specifically didn't invite him today because we wouldn't be able to talk about our love in front of him." Ayumi goes to get something. Yuka spots Serena there with her friend. Her friend asks Serena, "Serena, why didn't you come with Kai?" She says, "We aren't dating." The friend asks why. Serena says, "Obviously because of Yuka." Hearing this, Yuka says in her mind, "I have reached a point of no return, what should I do now?" Ayumi brings cotton candy, but Satoru shows up and says, "Ayumi, I finally found you." Ayumi says, "Didn't I tell you I couldn't hang out with you today? I came to hang out with Yuka today." But Satoru asks for cotton candy. Ayumi says, "Yuka, wait a minute, let me get rid of him," and she drags him away. Yuka smiles at their love and thinks, "I am getting in the middle of these people, I should leave," and she starts crying. A voice behind her says, "Yuka." She turns around and says, "Kai, but why?" and runs away. Kai chases her, catches her, and says, "I was looking for you, why are you running away?" Yuka looks at him. Kai sees she's crying and asks, "Why are you crying?" Yuka says nothing and starts to walk away. Kai grabs her hand and says, "If you're going home, then I'll come too." Yuka says, "Please, Kai, let go of my hand." Kai says, "If you don't want me to hold your hand, push me away." She thinks to herself, "I won't be able to do that." Kai says, "See, you couldn't do it." She lets go of his hand and says, "I have to find Serena," and runs back into the festival. She finds Ayumi and Serena. Ayumi says, "Yuka, you idiot, why did you leave me?" Yuka says, "Forgive me, Ayumi." Then she turns to Serena. "Listen, Serena." She says, "Yes, speak." Yuka says, "Serena, I want to say that I love Kai. Yes, it's true, forgive me, I lied that time." Hearing this, Serena says, "It's good that you told me, I won't overthink your feelings anymore. I was wondering why you lied to me," and she starts laughing. Seeing this, Ayumi starts crying. "Hearing you two talk makes me want to cry. I can't stop my tears." Then the fireworks start. A few days later, Yuka is at the beach getting anxious seeing so many people. Serena arrives and says, "Forgive us, we asked you at the last minute." She asks her friend, "How many of us are there right now?" She replies, "Even I don't know." Yuka looks at their clothes and says, "Amazing, beautiful, all this is so beautiful, I can't even make eye contact with them." Some boys come over and ask Yuka, "Where's your swimsuit?" Yuka tells them she doesn't have one. The boys say, "We thought so, right, Kai?" Yuka looks at Kai. Seeing his body, she blushes. Kai gets angry, grabs her face, and says, "Why are you averting your eyes from me? Look here." Yuka says okay, then he walks away. A while later, the girls are having fun while Yuka is sitting on the side. When the girls return, they see Serena's bullies have arrived. Yuka sees this and says, "Leave this to me." As she steps forward, Kai arrives and says, "Yuka, this has nothing to do with you, so stay back." Yuka says okay and starts leaving. Ayumi stops her and says, "I don't want you to get lost again, so take my phone." Yuka pulls out her own phone. Seeing this, Ayumi says, "You have a phone, why didn't you tell me earlier?" They exchange numbers. Two guys approach Kai and ask, "Bro, is it true that you affectionately stroked Yuka's cheek during the culture festival?" Hearing this, lemon soda spills out of his mouth. The boys say, "You don't need to be her caretaker outside of school." Kai says, "Mind your own business." The boys demand, "Tell us clearly today, do you like Yuka or Serena?" Tomoya says, "He is only protecting one, but he has left you guys deeply confused." Yuka is shown enjoying the ocean view, saying, "I have only seen this place with my mom and dad, I never came here with my friends." Suddenly, Yuka's bullies show up. Seeing them, Yuka starts ignoring them again. They insult her and are about to leave. But this time, Yuka gathers courage, talks to them and asks, "Excuse me, but how are you guys doing?" They reply, "Why are you talking like everything is normal?" and start leaving. Yuka follows them and asks, "Tell me, why haven't I seen you in school since a few days ago?" They reply, "We left school. Ever since you insulted us, we felt uncomfortable at school, so we left. But you are not the same as before anymore, but I don't care about that either." Hearing this, Yuka gets happy. They ask, "Why are you getting happy hearing this?" Ayumi and the rest are very surprised that Yuka did something on her own for the first time. After that, Serena takes Kai somewhere and asks him, "Do you really love me?" Kai says, "I used to love you, now forgive me, I don't love you." He says this very gently. Serena starts leaving, but she notices her friends were eavesdropping. They apologize to her. Kai comes to Yuka. A boy approaches Kai and says, "Kai, I heard you rejected Serena." Yuka asks, "But why did you do that?" Kai says, "This has nothing to do with you, Yuka." She says, "It does have to do with me." Kai says, "Yes, you are right, but I don't want to tell you." Serena starts leaving, but she receives a very long message from Yuka. Reading it, she starts laughing. At home, she texts Ayumi and Serena too. Yuka gets ready to go to the bookstore. Her dad asks, Yuka, where are you going? She tells him she's going to the bookstore. Her dad asks, shall I come with you? Yuka says, no, I'll go by myself. Her dad says, take your phone. Yuka says, I already have it, and leaves. We are shown Kai hanging out with his friends. He spots Yuka. He goes there too. Yuka was about to pull out a book, but Kai steps in and pulls the book out for her. They go to a cafe. Yuka isn't able to say anything to Kai. When Kai looks at her, Yuka turns her face away. Kai doesn't understand why she is doing this. They start talking. Kai's friend arrives and Kai leaves. Yuka realizes she never got Kai's number. She quickly runs after him and sees a girl flirting with Kai. Yuka goes to him and finally asks for his number. Kai says, you finally asked for my number. He tells his friends to leave, so they do. When he takes Yuka's phone, he sees Yuka has already set everything up. He just needs to put in his number. Yuka gets worried that Kai will judge her, but Kai laughs seeing this. He asks, don't you use Instagram? Yuka says, I haven't asked my dad about it yet. Kai says, okay, I'll talk to you over text, and when you go home definitely ask your dad if you can use Instagram, but I'm sure until I text you, you won't text me either. Yuka says, no, I will. He asks, when will you? Yuka says, in an emergency. Kai says, yes, absolutely, whenever you message me, I will come running to you. Yuka is happy hearing this and thinks, slowly but surely my world is completely changing. She comes home where her dad says, you look quite happy, Yuka. She replies, I met a school friend. She's about to ask her dad about Instagram, but her mom says, Yuka, you should have gone there with your dad. Those books look quite heavy. Her dad brings them in and laughs. I asked her, but she refused. Maybe Yuka has grown up now and doesn't need our support anymore, but seeing this makes me feel very lonely. Because of this, she couldn't ask her dad what she wanted to ask. We are shown a flashback of Yuka's childhood. People tell her dad, your daughter is very well-mannered, and praise her. Since childhood, her parents took such good care of her that she never had to do anything herself. But whenever she tried to do something on her own, her dad would stop her saying, this might be too difficult for you. Back in the present, Yuka heads to school and tells us, I have been safe in this house for 15 years. She reaches school where their teacher arrives because summer vacations are over. The teacher notices Kai isn't there and shouts, Kai, don't drop out of school. Kai arrives and says, hey teacher, why are you worrying? I won't drop out, I just overslept a bit. Kai sits at his desk and suddenly says good morning to Yuka. Yuka nervously says good morning back. Everyone asks, why are you suddenly saying good morning to her? Kai says, until I say good morning to Yuka, they feel my day hasn't started. They all discuss this. Kai asks her, Yuka, did you ask your dad about using Instagram? Yuka says, no, I forgot to ask. School gets over early, so they plan to go somewhere together. They go to karaoke with Yuka. They see two students from Shins whose parents are yelling at them. This is the school Yuka was supposed to go to. We see Yuka's dad who was outside that karaoke for some work. His colleague says, kids these days, looks like schools don't pay attention to them and neither do their parents. Her dad says, my daughter also studies in this school, so the colleague apologizes. Her dad says, it's okay. Then his eyes fall on Yuka. His colleague asks, what happened, sir? Yuka's dad says nothing and walks away. Seeing this, Yuka feels she is betraying her dad and is torn between Kai's and her dad's words. Her dad comes home and asks, where is Yuka? Her mom says she went to karaoke with her friends. Her dad asks Yuka with whom? She says, with friends. Her dad says, I didn't expect your friends to be like this. I thought you made friends with decent people. Yuka tries to explain, but her dad says, now you have to change schools. I can't let you go to Hachimitsu's school anymore. The next day, everyone notices Yuka hasn't come. The teacher arrives, so everyone asks about it. The teacher says Yuka's dad was here and he said he won't send Yuka to this school anymore. He also said his daughter is bullied here. Hearing this, everyone says, but we never did that. Ayumi says, that's impossible. Yuka would never say that about us, and she runs outside, followed by other kids. Outside, they stop Yuka's dad and tell him, we never bullied Yuka, and the rest of the kids echo the same, but her dad gets even angrier and starts to leave. Kai approaches them. Yuka is shown crying. We are shown what happened yesterday. Yuka said, I won't change my school. Her dad said, it's not good for you. What do you think? Is that boy good? Yuka said, yes, Kai helps me. Whenever I am in trouble, he helps me without hesitating, and you don't need to make decisions about my life. Her dad is shocked to hear this. Yuka wonders what she just blurted out. In the present, her dad tells Kai, you boy, why did you brainwash my daughter? Kai says, I didn't do anything. Her dad says, stay away from Yuka. Kai says, so you will put her back in a cage. Her dad says, keep your mouth shut, you worthless boy, and he walks away. Yuka is shown having a dream where she went to the other school, but when she meets her friends, they refuse to recognize her and she wakes up. Ayumi calls her and she picks up. Ayumi and the rest tell her everything that just happened. Her dad comes in, snatches the phone from her and says, I am doing all this for your own good. Yuka says, no, I won't change my school. Her dad says, fine, as you wish, I won't interfere anymore, and he takes her phone and leaves. At night, Yuka is sitting alone. Kai arrives and seeing him, she cries even more. Kai comforts her and Yuka understands. When she wakes up the next morning, her dad has gone out. She searches for him. Ayumi and everyone else come to Yuka's house to convince her dad. Kai goes to someone. Yuka searches everywhere but can't find her dad. When she returns, she sees her dad is right there along with her friends. Yuka tells her dad, "Dad, I was really bullied in junior high. But I didn't tell you because I didn't want to trouble you." Hearing this, her parents start crying. Her dad asks, "Yuka, why did you never tell us about this?" Remi and her friends arrive. Remi tells Yuka's dad, "Yes, I used to bully her." Her dad gets angry. Remi says, "Before you punch me, let me tell you. We used to bully her because she wouldn't defend herself. But ever since she went to Hachimitsu High School, she has completely changed." Yuka says, "Dad, I am not going anywhere, but I can achieve more on my own than you and Mom expect. So please don't worry." Her dad says, "Yuka, lift your head." Yuka lifts her head and sees her dad bowing in front of everyone, apologizing because he had a misunderstanding. Her dad says, "Forgive me and please take care of my daughter." Ayumi steps forward and introduces herself. "I definitely wear these clothes and hair dyes, but I am not a bad girl," and the other girls and friends say similar things. Kai also steps forward and introduces himself. Yuka thinks, "Mom, Dad, this is my new world where I am very happy." The next day, out of excitement, Yuka reaches school early and practices how she will talk to everyone. Kai arrives. Yuka steps back in fear and says, "You scared me." Kai says, "Looks like this has happened before." Ayumi and the rest of her friends arrive and say, "Yuka, you came early. We thought we would come early and welcome you back." The rest of the people also come to talk to her. Seeing so many people, Yuka gets very happy. Their teacher changes their seating arrangement again. Because of this, Yuka sits very far from Kai. After school, Yuka plans to study in the classroom. When she enters, she sees Kai sleeping there. Looking at him, she says softly, "Kai, I really like you." But Kai wakes up. Yuka thinks he heard her, but we don't know yet if he heard it or not. As Kai leaves, he says, "Thank you very much for waking me up, otherwise I would have been late." She asks, "Going where?" Kai explains, "Our friends must be waiting for us at karaoke, but you won't have any time now." Yuka says, "Yes, I do have time. My curfew is 6:00 now." Kai says, "Today I didn't get any time to sleep. Maybe tomorrow during lunchtime I'll go to the storeroom to sleep." Yuka asks, "Can I come with you too?" Kai says, "Yes, absolutely." They reach their friends where Ayumi and Yuka get very friendly. When they go to karaoke, they meet Remi and her friends. Yuka talks to them. Remi looks at Kai and says, "By the way, I saw you yesterday hanging out at night with the wrong crowd who always do bad things. I don't think you are okay," and she leaves. Hearing this, Yuka falls into deep thought and says, "Really, I still don't know anything about Kai." The next day in the classroom, all the kids ask, "Hey Kai, where's your house? After junior high you shifted, right?" But Kai doesn't tell them anything. A while later, when Yuka looks towards Kai, he isn't there, so she goes to the storeroom. She finds the place locked. Her teacher comes and says, "Kai told us that some people have been coming here to kill time for a while, so we locked it." Yuka doesn't understand why Kai said that. Is it because he wants me to stay away from him? The next day, Kai doesn't come to school again. Satoru calls him, but he doesn't say anything and then says, "Oh, I'm sleepy." All the kids laugh. A little while later, Yuka goes to the storeroom again. Kai comes from behind, shocking Yuka as to why he is there. Kai says, "I said the lock on this door is broken," and he opens it again. Yuka asks him, "When this is your secret spot, why did you tell the teacher about it?" Kai says no special reason, just like that because it's very dusty here, and he starts leaving. Yuka thinks to herself, "Why does it feel like he's telling me to distance myself from him?" During lunchtime, Yuka asks Ayumi, "Don't you think Kai has been acting weird lately?" She says, "No, I don't think so. Did something happen between you two?" Yuka says no. Ayumi says, "No one knows what he'll do. When he first dyed his hair, we asked him and he said, just did it." Hearing this, Yuka thinks to herself, "Why is it so hard to understand Kai? Sometimes he is deep in thought, sometimes he laughs like a kid, and sometimes he gives cold looks. It really is very hard to understand Kai." She goes straight to Kai and says, "I want to know about you." It's evening and we find out Kai works at a place. It's like a hotel, but it's for girls. Yuka is looking for Kai and some people notice her. A guy approaches Kai and says, "Hey Kai, I saw a girl looking for you." Kai asks, "What does she look like?" The guy describes her and Kai realizes it is Yuka. Meanwhile, those guys stop Yuka. The guy tells Kai, "And that girl has been caught by our seniors." Hearing this, Kai says, "Those idiots," and leaves. On the other side, the guys were forcing Yuka into their car. Kai arrives and the guys say, "Oh Kai, you're here. This girl was following you, so can we keep her?" Kai gets furious, grabs his collar and says, "Let her go, senpai." The guy says, "Yeah, okay, just let go of my throat." Kai takes her and runs away. At a spot, Kai asks her, "Yuka, tell me, what kind of person do you think I am?" Yuka starts listing good things about him. Kai says, "You are wrong." Yuka says, "But I want to understand you." The next day, Yuka is nervous at school about how she'll talk to Kai. Kai arrives. Before Yuka can say anything, a guy comes and says, "Hey Kai, I found out you have a job," and shows him a photo from last night on his phone. A girl asks, "Yuka, what is your relationship? How did you already know all this?" Kai says, "No, she didn't know either. And forgive me, I didn't tell you guys this, but I have some urgent work right now," and he takes Yuka with him. Yuka thinks to herself, "Yeah, really, what is my relationship with Kai?" He takes her towards the school roof. but Yuka stops. Kai says, "Aren't you coming? Come here quickly," and he smiles. Seeing this, Yuka gets happy. The next day, the girl who sits next to Kai proposes to him, but Kai rejects her. She goes a bit crazy and Yuka and her friends watch this. Kai walks up behind them and Yuka says hello. Kai leaves and they start talking. Yuka gets a little emotional because she thinks someone will take Kai away. In the classroom, the girls see the boys looking at a magazine full of models sharing their preferences. Yuka says, "I want to know Kai's preference too," and goes there. Kai places his hand on a girl's photo. A guy says, "This girl looks like the one who bathes in perfume." Another boy says, "You mean Marine?" Marine says, "I love this perfume a lot, so I wear it. And Yuka, tell us, what kind of boys do you like?" A boy brings the magazine to her. To escape, Yuka randomly puts her hand on a photo. The girl says, "Okay, your decision is made. Come with me," and she takes her to the street where guys hang out. Yuka sees a boy there exactly like the one in the photo. She goes with those boys to the place where Kai works. Marine says, "I'm just helping Yuka get a boyfriend." They go inside the party and Marine tells them Yuka's preference, but the boy says, "Oh no, I don't like this girl." Yuka stands up and starts talking about her preference. Kai arrives and says, "I am going home, what about you?" Yuka says, "I'll come with you too." While walking on the way, Yuka asks him, "What is the relationship between us two?" He says, "Our relationship is like I am your protector and I protect you. But explaining this to other people is very hard. And tell me, do you really like boys with black hair?" Yuka says, "No, I like blonde boys." Hearing this, Kai smiles, and seeing his smile, Yuka goes even crazier for him. The next day, the teacher announces that sports day is coming, so start preparing. All the kids get happy. Ayumi and the girls say Yuka will definitely come first in this. But the boys say Yuka won't be able to do it. The girls say, "Let's see." When Yuka runs, she finishes it in just 7 seconds. Seeing this, all the boys' jaws drop. Kai praises Yuka, "You did very well, but you have to improve yourself even more," and he passes by her smiling. Everyone is sitting together making their strategies. On the other hand, the boys ask Kai, "What happened, Kai? Don't you want a girlfriend?" Kai says, "It's nothing like that." The boys say, "How long will you stay with Yuka like this? Maybe she wants to get a boyfriend too, but because you are with her, no guy approaches her." A little later, Yuka is drawing something on everyone's t-shirts. Kai comes and says, "You got this job again." Yuka says, "No, I took it myself." Kai sits next to her and Yuka continues her work. Kai asks, "Do you need any help?" Yuka says, "So can you draw something on my t-shirt?" He says, "Now you've asked for a bit too much." Then he asks her, "Yuka, tell me, how long are you going to stay with me?" Yuka doesn't understand what he means. Kai leaves. The next day, Yuka had made very nice drawings on everyone's t-shirts, but there was nothing on Yuka's t-shirt. Ayumi says she said drawing something on her own t-shirt feels very weird, so she left her t-shirt like that. Kai is shown with honey lemon soda drawn on his t-shirt. Finally, the name of the series appeared somewhere. They are staring at Kai, so Kai says, "This has nothing to do with you guys, so leave from here." Kai leaves with his seniors. These are the same guys who had grabbed Yuka. Yuka doesn't understand why Kai said that. They are sitting at a place when Satoru comes and asks, "Did you guys see Kai?" They say no. Yuka says, "Yeah, I haven't seen him for a long time either," and she goes to look for him. She bumps into those same bullies and falls. She asks them, "Have you guys seen Kai?" They say, "He is in his rightful place." Yuka spots the storeroom key in their hands and they have tape too. She realizes what they did to him. Yuka quickly goes and checks the storeroom where she sees Kai tied up. She unties him. Kai says, "I gave you a hint to stay away from me." Yuka says, "That can never happen." She adds, "You like taking care of me, and if the roles were reversed you wouldn't feel bad, so from today I will protect you too." She brings Kai outside. Kai was on the cheer team, so he changes his clothes. The bullies are shocked to see how Kai got out. They ask Yuka, "She got him out. We found out that you are his weak point. When we took your name, he couldn't do anything and quietly went with us. Maybe by hurting you we can control him." Yuka says, "Whatever you guys want to do to me you can do, but do not touch Kai at all." The boys say, "So why don't we become your bullies?" Yuka says, "Yeah, no problem," and she smiles. The hurdle race begins and it's Yuka's turn. She dashes forward rapidly and her friends are cheering for her. She quickly goes and hands that thing to Kai. Her friends come to her and say, "Yuka, you really closed a huge gap, and who drew this on your back? It looks very good." She quickly checks her t-shirt and sees wings drawn on it. We find out Kai drew it. Ayumi explains, "Yuka, you have held back a lot, so you should take one more step forward and confess your feelings to Kai." But Yuka gets dizzy and faints. When she regains consciousness, she sees Kai next to her and thinks she is dreaming. So she tells Kai, "I love you," and says, "I want to be your girlfriend." Hearing this, Kai kisses her. Seeing this, Yuka thinks she is truly dreaming because this could never happen to her in the real world. The next day, Yuka has her head stuck inside her locker at school. Ayumi asks Yuka, "What happened to you?" Yuka was thinking to herself, "Maybe yesterday wasn't a dream. What did I end up saying?" She pulls her head out and starts banging her forehead against the wall. Kai arrives and seeing him, Yuka blushes and turns the other way. Ayumi asks Kai, "Did you do something to her?" After that, Yuka tells Ayumi everything. Ayumi is very shocked. "What, you told him everything?" "How is this possible?" she asks. "By the way, what happened after that? Did he answer?" Yuka says, "I really don't know. I fainted after saying that." Ayumi says, "Oh man, why does this only happen to you?" When she goes to the classroom, her friends tell her, "Yuka, look at this." Yuka looks and sees a bouquet of flowers kept there with a letter inside. The girl takes it and says, "If there is anything bad written in it, I will throw it in the dustbin." When the girl opens the letter, they find out it is a love letter. It says, "Yuka, I love you. I'm Naoki from the 3rd year." Reading this, they are very shocked that Yuka received a love letter for the first time, and that too from a 3rd year. Kai arrives. The boy tells him, "Kai, look, someone sent a love letter to Yuka. Should she date him now?" Kai says, "She is not ready yet, so think carefully." After school ends, Yuka is leaving. She sees 3rd year girls surrounding Kai. She quietly starts to leave. Serena spots her and asks, "Why are you crying? Did something happen with Kai? Wait, I'll go talk to him." Serena starts to leave, but Yuka stops her and says, "My love will be a burden for Kai, that's why he wants to push me away." Serena says, "Let me tell you a story you don't know yet. This is from the day after Kai had the storeroom locked." A flashback is shown. Serena was passing by and Kai was coming with the storeroom key. She asked, "What do you have?" Kai said, "It's the storeroom key and it's mine now, and now I am going to invite Yuka here too." Finding this out, Yuka realizes Kai wasn't pushing her away. She goes to him and says, "If you have time, come meet me in the classroom," and she heads to the classroom. Kai arrives there too. Before Yuka can say anything, Kai says, "I love you." Hearing this, Yuka gets so happy she sits down crying. Kai comes to her. Yuka also says, "I love you" to him, and they both kiss. The next day, Yuka and everyone else arrive. Yuka asks Kai, "Who are you waiting for?" Kai says, "For you," and tells everyone Yuka and I love each other. Yuka is shocked that he told everyone so quickly. Her friends grab her, shake her, and say, "Yuka, when did this happen? Since when did you guys start dating?" Ayumi says, "Stop it, her head will fall off." Yuka says, "We haven't started dating yet." On Kai's side, a guy comes and says, "So Kai, when you have become Yuka's boyfriend, aren't you dating her?" Kai says, "It depends on her whether she wants to date or not." Yuka arrives and they were still calling each other by their surnames. Hearing this, the guys say, "Since you are lovers now, why are you still calling each other by surnames?" Kai calls Yuka by her first name. Hearing this, Yuka's mind blasts and she says, "We'll meet at the assembly," and leaves. While washing her face, she says, "Looks like I did this wrong." Kai is shown with the student council members who tell him, "You will start the assembly today." Yuka arrives there and says, "Kai, please date me," and she says a lot to him, but the student council members start taking him away. Ayumi tells her, "Wait, Kai will be right back." Yuka says, "My timing is really terrible." Kai goes on stage, tells everyone to form a line, and adds, "Yuka, I am ready to date you." Hearing this, all the students go absolutely crazy because it's the first time they see Kai so madly in love with a girl. One teacher tells another, "I'm sorry you had to see all this on your first day." The teacher says, "It's okay." The girls who liked Kai are crying. Kai comes to Yuka and they both smile at each other. Yuka thinks in her mind, "I feel like something is about to begin," and season 1 ends here. To watch season 2, subscribe to my channel because season 2 will be available there in manga format. Thank you very much for watching this video up to here.